Ready to get rich quick with action figures and toys? Well, you might not want to be investing in Haslab because while it's awesome for people who want giant set pieces, the aftermarket value is not quite what we all thought it might be. Let's take a look. Welcome to Spector Creative. Hey guys, welcome back to Spector Creative. I'm your host, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, and today I want to talk about, aftermarket value and specifically Haslab product because it's been really interesting the dichotomy, the vast sort of bell curve difference of success of aftermarket of Haslab items. But before we jump in, a word from today's sponsor, me. Well, The Nile Quest, my new book. Awesome book. It's a real world Indiana Jones adventure. If you love history and you love mysteries and you love Indiana Jones and the lost, city of Z, this book's for you. It's available on Amazon right now. Just type in Nile Quest or check out all my books by searching by author. All right, plug out of the way. So Haslab, it's very interesting. So many of the items, there's a few that have skyrocketed in value, but for the most part, they haven't. For the most part, they're pretty much only a couple $100s over what they originally went for. They haven't become these huge investments, and that's a big factor because that's part of what Hasbro's, I don't want to say counting on, but the part of the business strategy that is that people are buying them as investments to one day sell because these are really high-end items. So let's take a look. When Haslab first started, their first project was the Sail Barge and Unicron. Now, those are the only two items that have significantly increased in value. So let's see here. I ran a table here. Let's see. All right. So yeah, the Haslab 2018, originally $499, 8,800 backers, and it's now going for over $2,000. So that's a very strong appreciation. The same with Unicron, also 2019, $574, 8,000 backers, and it's now going for about $2,000. But they're the only two that have really broken through and gotten that strong appreciation value. Why is that? Well, at the time, they were experimental. Nobody knew if it was going to work. Unicron barely limped. They had to basically beg fans to support it because they didn't want another Haslab item to fail, especially one that Hasbro owned. See the Sesame Street Cookie Monster as an example. So yes, nobody wants to see failure right outside the gate. But a lot of fans were concerned, the level of trust. Are we going to get the quality? Is this going to be as great as we think? Hasbro's never done anything like this before. So there was, like I said, Unicron limped to the finish line. People had the same with the Sail Barge. It made it, but it took a lot more fan support. People were making, Back the Barge, all sorts of programs, patches and posters and blogs and all this stuff. It didn't sell, hit until the, kind of the 0 hour. So because of that, you basically had the bare minimum number of fans buying both of those items. Nobody was kind of sure about them. Well, they came out. They did very well, and because you had the bare number of fans ordering them, because they both, more or less limped to the finish line, the aftermarket value soared because there weren't that, they literally just sold the minimum number. Fast forward to something like the Sentinel and Galactus, right? Both those are two examples that have not increased in value. Actually, here, let's look. All right, let's see here. Oh, it's not listed in my thing. Here we go. Okay, Galactus $399, and now he's going for $650. Giant Man is, let's see, originally $199, now going for $250. So he's going for $50 more. So basically, people saw what happened with the Sail Barge, that it skyrocketed in after value, and then they went overboard with the Sentinel and Galactus. Now, granted, the Sentinel is an army builder, so it makes sense people would buy multiples, which is why the Sentinel has actually held a bit more value. But look at Galactus. Look at, Giant Man. I mean, they're going for $50, $100, $200 more versus the Sail Barge just thousands of dollars more. And people way overbought Galactus, assuming it was going to do the same thing as the sail barge. But it kind of backfired because, they sold, what, like 9,000 sail barges, but they sold over 20,000 Galactuses, and he's not an army builder. So you really only need one. Plus, there's another one coming out in a few months for the Fantastic Four movie. Maybe it'll be actually more classic looking, because I passed on the Haslab one because I thought it was too modern. But maybe the movie one will be more classic, and I'll buy that one. All right. So, yeah, I know we're going to get 2 giant Haslab Galactuses. Crazy. All right, so yeah, so basically the underperformance of the sail barge and Unicron created this echo effect. That's not the right word, I guess. Bouncing effect. I don't know. That people started investing in things like Galactus and Giant Man, and assuming that they were going to also have the same type of return on investment. They'd be able to, get like a 50% margin on flipping it. Well, that turned out not to be true because everyone did that, and they way over-ordered Galactus. And there's too many Galactuses out there. There's more Galactuses out there than there is demand. So, and that's kind of what's going to happen going forward. We're not seeing Haslab items skyrocket in aftermarket value, except for the very first ones, because they were under-ordered, I don't want to say underappreciated, but the people underestimated them. I guess that would be the right word. So the underestimation of Haslab in the beginning led to a huge aftermarket bump for those first few SKUs. But then after that, yeah, I mean, I don't feel pressure really to buy Haslab items because I know that I could pick them up for basically more or less what you pay for them. Maybe $100, $200 more, but for a $500 item, that doesn't feel like that much of a jump, especially because I didn't have to dish out the money at the time. I could wait until I had more discretionary toy funds, shall we say. So yeah, it's a really fascinating thing, and I think this is what really will continue. Looking at Haslab as an investment opportunity, really you should be buying these because you want them, because this is going to improve your personal display, and because you love toys. If you're buying Haslab items because you think it's going to put kids through college, I have a Death of Superman polybag comic I can sell you. All right, I hope this video was insightful and an interesting look at how, while Haslab has been successful, it has not been the investment opportunity that I think a lot of people may have expected it to be, simply because too many people took advantage of it. And there's too many Galactuses out there. There's too many, Cobra Hiss tanks. There's not, or Locazers or Omega Primes. I mean, all the brands. There's just, after the sail barge blew everyone away, everyone started ordering. So there's not this huge stock of unmet fan demand out there. All right, I hope this video was insightful, and appreciate you sharing it with others. And again, Nile Quest, pick it up. It's on Amazon. It's awesome. 15 years in the making. Fantastic read. It's a perfect summer reading book. Whether you're on a plane or sitting by the pool, pick it up on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. See you guys in the next video.